Hello friends, welcome back to Max's Cards and Dice Dugout. This is episode 145. And this time out we are at Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota once again for game number 49 of the Strat-O-Matic Baseball Oldtimer Kings King of the Hill tournament. This game has the current Kings, the 1965 Minnesota Twins, playing host to the 1961 Cincinnati Reds. Before we get to the starting lineups, take a look at the Hill. Twins knocked off the Dodgers in game 48. So they sit at 500, 4-4. 6-4 Reds are coming into town, and they'd like to get this series to Cincinnati. It hasn't been there for a bit. And we got the 61 Tigers on deck with the 1960 Pirates in the hole. I'm going to write down the records here. All right, so let's get to the starting lineups and get this game underway. First, for the visiting 1961 Cincinnati Reds, leading off at second base, Don Blasingame. Batting second at shortstop, Eddie Casco. Batting third in center field, Vada Pinson. Batting fourth, right fielder Frank Robinson. Batting fifth, Wally Post. He's in left. Batting sixth, Gene Freese. He's at third base. Batting seventh, first baseman Gordy Coleman. Batting eighth, catcher John Edwards. And on the mound, batting ninth is Bob Purkey. In 1961, he was 16-12 with a 3.73 ERA, 246 innings pitched. He's a number one hitting pitcher, so he'll get that card inserted into the lineup. Now for the current Kings, the 1965 Minnesota Twins. Leading off at shortstop, Zoilo Versalis. Batting second, Jimmy Hall, returning from an injury, back in center field. Batting third, Tony Oliva moves back to right, and he's batting third. Batting fourth, Harmon Killebrew. He's at third base. Batting fifth, left fielder Bob Allison. Batting sixth, catcher Earl Batty. Batting seventh, first baseman Don Mincher. Batting eighth, Jerry Kindle. He's at second. And batting ninth and on the hill is Camilo Pascual. In 1965, he was 9-3 with a 3.35 ERA and 156 innings pitched. He's a number three hitting pitcher, so he will get that pitcher hitting card. Blasingame steps up to the plate from the dugout. Pascal has finished his warm-up tosses, and we are ready. Low and outside, and leadoff walk for Don Blasingame. Not the way the Twins wanted to start this one. So Blasingame is on first. He's a D-stealer, so he's going to stay put. There's nobody out for Eddie Casco, Red shortstop. Pascal delivers. And that is a single for Casco. Blasingame moves up to second. Let's see what his running is. He's a 1-15. He's going to stay put. So there's runners on first and second. Nobody out for Vada Pinson. Here in the top of the first. Low and outside, and they are loaded up. Not a good start for Pascal. Bases loaded, nobody out. Infield at regular depth because Frank Robinson's coming to the plate. Reds trying to jump on the Twins early here. Here's the pitch from Pascal. And that is a fly ball to right field. It's very shallow. And Tony Oliva's under that, makes the catch, and the runners are forced to hold. There's one away. Bases loaded, one out. Wally Post, infield still. Normal depth. Here's the pitch. This is trouble. And it is a deep fly ball to center field. Sends Jimmy Hall back. It's off the wall. And that's going to score at least 2 runs. Blasingame and Casco come in. Pinson moves to third. He's going to hold there. And Wally Post cruises into second with a 2 RBI stand-up double. And that's 2 fatigue points for Pascual. And the Reds are on the board here early and lead 2-0. So there's runners on second and third with 1 out for Gene Freeze. Here's the pitch. It's a fly ball to right field, but it is an X-check. Tony Oliva's out there. He is a 2, and we roll an 8. And Oliva makes the catch, but that allows Pinson to tag up. And score the 3rd run for the Reds here in the top of the first. Post gets to move to 3rd on the same said play, so Freeze picks up an RBI, and it's now 3-0. And 3 fatigue points for Camilo Pascual. So there is a man on third with 2 outs. And first baseman Gordy Coleman. Here's the pitch. And here's some more trouble for Pascual. It's another deep fly ball, but this one is to left field. Bob Allison can't get to it. Post is going to score to make it 4-0, and Coleman slides into second base with an RBI double. Pascual is at 4, and there's some shuffling around in the Minnesota bullpen. Here's John Edwards, man on second with 2 outs. Reds lead 4-0. Pitch. And it's a ground ball to first baseman Don Mincher, and he's going to take that one unassisted. And the Twins finally get to go back to the dugout, but not before the Reds score 4 here in the top of the first. And with 1/2 inning in the books, it's the Reds 4. And the Twins coming to bat. Pascual, rough start, is at 5 fatigue points. Bob Purkey out on the mound for the Reds. Leading off for Minnesota, shortstop Zoilo Versalles. Reds lead 4-0. Here's the pitch. And that's a strikeout. And there's one away. Here's Jimmy Hall back in the lineup after a brief injury. Pitch from Purkey. It's catcher's card X. Edwards is a 2, and we roll a 14. And Jimmy Hall pops this one up. It's near the Twins' dugout in foul territory. Edwards makes the catch, and there are 2 away. So 2 outs, nobody on. Tony Oliva back in right field with the return of Jimmy Hall. And here's the pitch from Bob Purkey. That's a fly ball to center field. It's going to send Veda Pinson back to the track, but he makes the catch. And the Twins go 1-2-3. So after 1 inning of play, it is the Reds 4 and the Twins 0. Bob Purkey will pick up a fatigue point. And we go to the top of the second, and Bob Purkey steps into the batter's box to face his counterpart. Here's the pitch from Pascual. And that's a strikeout. And there's one away. First strikeout for Pascual. We're back to the top of the order, and Don Blasingame. Blasingame walked his first time up. Here's the pitch. Low and outside, and another free trip for Blasingame. Trots down to first base. So he's there with 1 out for Eddie Casco, who singled his first time up. He's 1 for 1. Pitch from Pascual. Low and outside. Some more trouble. Blasingame moves up to second, and there is some activity in the Reds bullpen, or excuse me, in the Minnesota bullpen. And that is Dave Boswell warming up. So he'll be ready in a batter or two. But right now it's first and second for the Reds with one out and Veda Pinson. Pinson walked his first time up. Here's the pitch. And this is some more trouble for Pascual, because this one goes right down the right field line. And Tony Olive is tracking it down, but that's going to allow Blasingame to score. It's now 5-0. And Eddie Casco, it's a 5-7. He's going to hold up at third. So it's an RBI single for Veda Pinson. And it's now 5-0 in favor of the Reds. Runners on the corners, one out. And Frank Robinson. This will probably be the last batter for Pascual. Here's the pitch. It's a ground ball to first base. Only play for Mincher is to go to the bag unassisted. And that's going to score another run. Pinson moves up to second, and it's 6-0 in favor of the Reds. And that is it for Camilo Pascual. He's going to be replaced by Dave Boswell. Not a good start. In 1965, Dave Boswell was 6-5 with a 3.40 ERA, 106 innings pitched. And he takes the place of Pascual. He'll bat in the number 9 spot. And the first batter he's going to face is Wally Post. All right. So, man on second with 2 outs. And here's the pitch from Boswell to Post. It's a ground ball to short. Solo Versalis over to Don Mincher, for the 3rd out. But not before the Reds tack on a couple more. And after 1.5 innings, they lead 6-0. Now, Boswell is going to get a fatigue point because he did appear in this inning, even though it was only 1/3. All right, so we go to the bottom of the second. Leading off for Minnesota, it's Harmon Killebrew, third baseman. They trail 6-0. Here's the pitch from Purkey. And that's a ground ball to Eddie Casco. Fires over to Gordy Coleman for the 6-3 put out. And that's how we start the bottom of the second. So there's nobody on, 1 out for Bob Allison, left fielder. Pitch from Purkey. There's a fly ball to center field. Veda Pinson's under that, makes the catch for out number 2. That brings up Twins backstop Earl Batty. Pitch from Purkey. That's a fly ball to right field. Frank Robinson's under that. Makes the catch. And once again, the Twins go 1-2-3. So after 2, it's the Reds 6 and the Twins nothing. Purkey gets fatigue point number 2. Dave Boswell out here for the top of the 3rd. First batter is Gene Freeze. And Gordy Coleman and John Edwards will follow. Here's the pitch from Boswell. Low and outside and another walk. How many walks is that for Minnesota? 1, 2, 3. It's the 4th walk. So Freeze trots down to first. There's nobody out. Brings up first baseman Gordy Coleman. Coleman doubled his first time up. Here's the pitch from Boswell. And that is a deep fly ball to left field. And that's sending Bob Allison back, but no chance. It's way up, out of here, gone. A 2-run shot for Gordy Coleman. And the bleeding continues. It is now 8-0. And Boswell picks up 2 more fatigue points. My goodness. That brings up John Edwards. Edwards is 0 for 1. Here's the pitch. More trouble for the Twins. No. It's a fly ball to left field. It's deep. But Bob Allison at the wall makes the catch for the first out. And Dave Boswell breathes a sigh of relief. And that's going to bring up pitcher Bob Purkey. Struck out his first time up. Here's the pitch. This time he hits a ground ball to shortstop. Eddie Casco fires over to Gordy Coleman. Well, that's not right. I'm doing that again. It's Versailles over to Don Mincher for the second out. Apologies. So it's 2 outs, nobody on. Back to the top of the order in Don Blasingame. Reds lead 8-0. Here's the pitch. That's a ground ball to third base, but it's going to be an X check for Harmon Killebrew. He's a 4, and we roll a 15. And Killebrew boots that one. It rolls into shallow left field, where he's able to recover it. So Blasingame's going to reach on the E5. It's an error for Minnesota. So Blasingame's on first with 2 outs. Reds lead 8-0. Here's Eddie Casco, who is 1 for 1 with a walk. This time he hits a ground ball to Harmon Killebrew at third base. He fires over to Don Mincher for the third out. But the Reds pick up 2 more on Gordy Coleman's 2-run blast. And after 2.5, they lead 8-0. Dave Boswell's going to pick up another fatigue point. He's at 4. Looks to be a bullpen game for the Twins. So leading off for the Twins here in the bottom of the third is Don Mincher. Here's the pitch. It's a ground ball to Don Blasingame. Fires over to Gordy Coleman. 1 away. So 1 out, nobody on. And second baseman Jerry Kindle. Here's the pitch from Purkey. And the Twins are going to get their first base runner as Kindle hits one down the right field line. Frank Robinson does get to it, but not before Kindle slides into second with a 1-out double. First hit for Minnesota. So here's Dave Boswell, and I did not change his pitcher's card. All right, he is a number 4 hitting pitcher, so he gets that card. There's a man on second, 1 out. Here's the pitch from Purkey. And that's a strikeout. It's 2 away. Strikeout number 2 for Bob Purkey. We get back to the top of the order. And Zoilo Versailles, who was 0 for 1, he struck out his first time up. And got Jerry Kindle on second. So a man on second with 2 outs. Here's the pitch from Purkey. It's a ground ball to third base. That's Gene Freeze. It's an X check. He's a 4. We roll an 11. And Gene Freeze boots that one, and that is going to roll into left field. E5 for a two-base error. That's going to get the Twins on the board as Jerry Coleman scores. And Purkey will pick up another fatigue point, and it's now 8-1 here in the bottom of the third. It's going to bring up center fielder Jimmy Hall, who is 0 for 1. Twins are now on the board. They trail 8-1, and here's the pitch from Purkey. And Hall pops this one up. It's going to stay in the infield. Don Blasingame calls everyone off. Makes the catch, and that's it for the Twins here in the third. But they do pick up one run on Gene Freeze's error. And after 3 innings, it's the Reds 8 and the Twins 1. Bob Purkey get fatigue point number 4. Dave Boswell, who's at 4, comes out here for the top of the 4th. First batter is Veda Pinson, who is 1 for 1 with a walk, and here's the pitch. Man, that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 1 for Boswell. There's one out here in the top of the 4th. Nobody on. Frank Robinson. Robinson's 0 for 2. Here's the pitch. Low and outside. He trots down to first. So a man on first with 1 out. And Wally Post. Reds lead 8-1. Here's the pitch from Boswell. It's a fly ball to center field. And Jimmy Hall's under that, makes the catch. It's 2 away. Frank Robinson stays put at first base. So 2 outs, man on first. And Gene Freeze. Here's the pitch. Man, that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 2 for Boswell. And the side is retired. And for the first time in this game, the Reds do not score. And after 3.5, they lead 8-1. Boswell picks up fatigue point number 5. And Purkey, who's at 4, is out here for the bottom of the 4th. And Tony Oliva's leading things off for the Twins. He's 0 for 1. Here's the pitch. It's a ground ball to third base. That's Gene Freeze over to Gordy Coleman, and there is 1 away. So 1 out, nobody on. Harmon Killebrew. Killebrew's 0 for 1. Pitch from Purkey. That's a ground ball to Eddie Casco. Tosses over to Gordy Coleman for the 2nd out. So 2 outs, nobody on. And left fielder Bob Allison. Allison's 0 for 1. Here's the pitch from Purkey. It's a fly ball to center field. It's the next check for Veda Pinson, who's a 2, and we roll a 6. And Pinson makes a diving catch out there to rob Allison of extra bases. And that's it for the Twins here in the bottom of the 4th. So with 4 in the books, it's the Reds 8 and the Twins 1. Purkey gets fatigue point number 5. Dave Boswell, who is at 5, is out here for the top of the 5th. First batter's going to be first baseman Gordy Coleman, who blasted 1 out of here for a 2-run homer his last time up. He is 2 for 2. Here's the pitch. This time he hits a ground ball to Zoilo Versalis over to Don Mincher. And Coleman's retired, so there's 1 away. Catcher John Edwards is next. He's 0 for 2. Pitch from Boswell. Edwards pops this one up. Blasingame's under that. Near the second base bag, makes the catch. And there are 2 away. And that brings up pitcher Bob Purkey. Purkey's 0 for 2. Pitch from Boswell. Man, that's a strikeout. And for the first time in this game, that's strikeout number 3 for Boswell, but for the first time in this game, the Reds go 1-2-3. And after 4.5, they still lead 8-1. Boswell picks up another fatigue point. That puts him at 6. Since he's pitching as a reliever, he runs out of steam after reaching 7. Bob Purkey, who's cruising along with a 7-run lead, is back out here for the bottom of the 5th. And Earl Batty's the first batter. He's 0 for 1. He pops this one up. Gordy Coleman's under that. Over at first base, makes the catch, and there's 1 away. So 1 out, nobody on for Don Mincher. Twins first baseman, here's the pitch. He hits a fly ball, lifts this one to center field. Veda Pinson's under that near the track, makes the catch, and there are 2 away. Next, Jerry Kindle. So 2 outs. Nobody on. Here's the pitch to Kindle. And he lines this one, but unfortunately it's right at Eddie Casco for the 3rd out. And that's it for the Twins. And 5 innings are in the books. And the Reds lead 8-1. Dave Boswell's day is done. And he's going to be replaced by Jim Merritt. Who in 1965 was 5-4 with a 3.16 ERA, 77 innings pitched. We're going to do a double switch here. And Merritt's going to bat in the number 8 spot. And he's going to face the top of the order here in the 6th. So he's going to bat in the number 8 spot, and coming in to play second base is Rich Rollins, and he'll bat in the 9th spot. So we had Pascual, who was a 2. Rollins is going to be 4, and he is a 4 at second base. And Merritt, 1 and a 2 there. Okay. So Rollins enters the lineup. He's going to bat in the 9th spot. So let me get him in the right place here. Mincher, Kindle. That's where Merritt's going to bat. You have to excuse me here a moment. So it's Mincher. Jerry Kindle's out of the game. In the pitcher spot, then Rich Rollins. All right, apologize for that. And got that straightened out. And Jim Merritt will be facing the top of the order here in the top of the 6th. It's Don Blasingame. Reds lead 8-1. Here's the pitch from Merritt. And that's low and outside. Another walk for the Reds. Man on first, nobody out. Eddie Casco. Here's the pitch. And that is a double to left center. Puts runners on second and third. Nobody out. Veda Pinson's coming to the plate. And the Twins are bringing the infield in. Here's the pitch. And look out. As Veda Pinson hits one in the gap in right center. And this is a 2 RBI. Whoops, that's not right. 2 RBI double for Pinson. So he's on second base. All right, so right off the bat, Jim Merritt picks up 2 fatigue points, and it's now 10-1. The man on second, Frank Robinson. Infield back. And the bleeding just continues because Robinson, with a single up the middle, drives in Veda Pinson. And now we can make that 11-1 and another fatigue point for Jim Merritt. So there's still nobody out here in the top of the 6th, and the Minnesota faithful are starting to leave Metropolitan Stadium. Here's the pitch from Merritt. Pan, that's a strikeout. Bronx cheer from the crowd. First strikeout for Merritt. There's one away. Man on first with 1 out. Gene Freeze. Here's the pitch. Freeze hits a fly ball to left field. Bob Allison's under that, makes the catch. There are 2 away. Frank Robinson, of course, holds it first. So there's 2 outs, man on first, and Gordy Coleman. Here's the pitch. And another hit for Coleman. This one's a double. Frank Robinson's going to hold it third. It's second and third with 2 outs. Catcher John Edwards. Edwards is 0 for 3. Here's the pitch from Merritt. And he lifts a fly ball to medium center field. Jimmy Hall's under that, makes the catch for the 3rd out. But the Reds pick up 3 more. And after 5.5, lead 11-1. Jim Merritt picks up fatigue point number 4. Bob Purkey, who's at 5, is out here for the bottom of the 6th. And where's the pitcher's batting card? Actually, it's Rich Rollins. Apologize. He's batting in the 9th spot. Now playing second base for the Twins on that double switch. Here's the pitch from Purkey. And Rollins lifts 1-2 deep center field. And this sends Veda Pinson back to the track, to the wall. It's off the wall. Pinson gets it. Rollins cruises in with a leadoff double. Cruises into second. All right. So can the Twins get something started here? Man on second, nobody out. Zoilo Versalis, here's the pitch. It's a ground ball to second base. It's an X check. And Blasingame's a 3. We roll a 7. Blasingame makes a diving stop. Fires over to Casco, who in turn fires over to Gordy Coleman. Or no, excuse me, that's not possible. It's going to be a 4-3 put out. I apologize for that. 4-3 put out on Versalis. They get him at first for the 1st out. But Rich Rollins moves over to third. So the Twins have a runner on third with 1 out. And that brings up center fielder Jimmy Hall. Here's the pitch. And it's a ground ball to first baseman Gordy Coleman. His only play is to go unassisted to the bag for the second out, and that's going to allow Rich Rollins to score, and it's now 11-2. Purkey picks up his 6th fatigue point. So the bases are empty with 2 outs and Tony Oliva, who is 0 for 2. Here's the pitch from Purkey. And Oliva hits a fly ball to center field. That sends Veda Pinson back to the track, but he makes the catch for the 3rd out. The Twins do pick up a run here in the bottom of the 6th, and after 6 innings, it's the Reds 11 and the Twins 2. Bob Purkey's going to pick up another fatigue point. That puts him at 7. Jim Merritt, who's at 4, is out here for the top of the 7th. And he is going to face his counterpart, Bob Purkey. Purkey is 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Here's the pitch. He hits a ground ball back to Jim Merritt. He trots over towards first base. And he tosses underhand, to Don Mincher for the 1st out. So we're back at the top of the order for the Reds. 1 out, nobody on. Here in the top of the 7th, they lead 11-2. And Don Blasingame, who is 0 for 1 with 3 walks and 3 runs scored. Here's the pitch. This time he pops it up. And over at first base, Don Mincher is under that near the bag. And there are 2 away. So 2 outs, nobody on for the Reds. And shortstop Eddie Casco. Casco is 2 for 3 with 3 runs scored. Here's the pitch. And that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 2 for Jim Merritt. And that's it for the Reds here in the top of the 7th. So as we stretch them, the Reds lead 11-2. Jim Merritt's going to pick up another fatigue point. I'm going to wet my whistle. And Bob Purkey's coming back out here to pitch, top of the 8th. Or excuse me, the bottom of the 7th. Getting ahead of myself. And he's going to face Harmon Killebrew, who's 0 for 2. Here's the pitch from Purkey. It's a ground ball to Don Blasingame at second base. And he tosses over to Gordy Coleman. They get Killebrew by a few steps. There's 1 away. So 1 out, nobody on for Bob Allison, who's 0 for 2. Pitch from Purkey. And Allison lines this one, but unfortunately it's right at Gene Freese. And Freese robs Allison of a base hit on that one. And there are 2 away here in the bottom of the 7th. Reds lead 11-2. Making a statement here at the Met. Here's the pitch to Batty. And that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 3 for Bob Purkey. And the Twins go quietly. 1, 2, 3. And after 7 innings of play, it's the Reds 11. The Twins 2. Purkey gets fatigue point number 8. Go to the top of the 8th. Jim Merritt's still out here. He's at 5 fatigue points. And the first batter is Veda Pinson, who is 2 for 3 with a couple of runs scored. And there's another hit for Pinson right up the middle. Leadoff single. He makes the turn at first, but he's going to hold there. So he's on first with nobody out, and Frank Robinson, who is 1 for 3. Here's the pitch from Merritt. But not anymore, because Robinson gets a hold of this one to deep left field. Bob Allison watches this one go over his head. It's way up, out of here, gone. 2-run shot for Frank Robinson, and it's now 13-2. 2 more fatigue points for Merritt, puts him at 7. And we need some more activity in the Twins bullpen, and it's going to be Al Worthington. No, not Al Worthington. John Klippenstein is warming up for the Twins. Right now, Merritt's staying in this game, at least temporarily. And there's nobody on because Robinson cleared the bases. And nobody out for Wally Post. 13-2. Man, that's a strikeout. For the first out here in the top of the 8th. That is strikeout number 3, excuse me, for Jim Merritt. 1 out, nobody on. Gene Freese comes to the plate. And Freese is 0 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. Here's the pitch. He hits a ground ball, but it's to third baseman Harmon Killebrew. Fires over to Don Mincher for the second out. So 2 outs, nobody on. For Gordy Coleman. Pitch from Jim Merritt. Coleman pops this one up. It's going to stay in the infield. Rich Rollins is under that. Makes the catch for the 3rd out. But the Reds do pick up 2 more runs on Frank Robinson's blast. And after 7.5, they lead 13-2. Jim Merritt picks up his 8th fatigue point, so he's fatigued. He'll be finished for the day. Right now, Bob Purkey's coming back out. He's at 8 fatigue points and has an 11-run lead. And the first batter he's going to face is Don Mincher. Here's the pitch. And Mincher gets a hold of this one. It's off the wall in left field. He cruises into second with a leadoff double. That's going to bring up the pitcher's spot. So we're going to have a pinch hitter for Jim Merritt. And it's going to be Jerry Zimmerman. And John Klippenstein will be the pitcher for the Twins in the top of the 9th. So Jerry Zimmerman pinch hitting here. It's a man on second with nobody out. Reds lead 13-2. Here's the pitch from Purkey. Zimmerman pops this one up. And Eddie Casco's under that, makes the catch. There's 1 away. It's going to bring up second baseman Rich Rollins. He's 1 for 1 with a run scored. Here's the pitch from Purkey. And Rollins lines this one. Gene Freese snags it out of the air for the second out. Over there at the hot corner. So there's 2 outs and a man on second. We're back to the top of the order in Zoilo Versalles, who is 0 for 3. He did reach base back in the 3rd inning on a 2-base error. Here's the pitch. It's time he hits a ground ball to Eddie Casco, over to Gordy Coleman. 6-3 put out, and that's it for the Twins. So they put a runner in scoring position, but strand him there, and after 8, it's 13-2 in favor of the Reds, and Bob Purkey picks up fatigue point number 9. Now the new pitcher for the Twins here in the top of the 9th is John Klippenstein. And in 1965, he was 9-3 with a 2.25 ERA, 76 innings pitched. He's going to face Edwards, Purkey, and Blasingame here in the top of the 9th. Twins trail 13-2. Here's the pitch. And Edwards pops this one up. And Rich Rollins is under that. Makes the catch. There's one away. That brings up Bob Purkey. He's 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts, but he's winning 13-2. Here's the pitch from Klippenstein. Man, that's another strikeout for Purkey. I don't mean that he threw it. That's the 3rd time he struck out this game, and it's the first strikeout for Klippenstein. There's 2 away here in the top of the 9th. Back to the top of the order for the Reds, Don Blasingame. Here's the pitch from Klippenstein. And Blasingame lifts this one to center field. That sends Jimmy Hall back near the track, but he makes the catch. And the Reds go 1-2-3 here in the top of the 9th. So after 8.5, the Reds lead 13-2. Klippenstein's going to pick up a fatigue point. And Purkey's coming out to close this one out himself. And the first batter is going to be center fielder Jimmy Hall, who's 0 for 3. He pops this one up, make him 0 for 4. Because Gordy Coleman's under that over at first base, and there is one away here in the top of the 9th. No, the bottom of the 9th. Tony Oliva is up next. Oliva's 0 for 3. Pitch from Purkey. And Oliva lines one right at Don Blasingame. Blasingame robs Oliva of a hit. And that's just the way things have been going for the Twins. There's 2 outs here in the bottom of the 9th. And the last chance to keep things going for Minnesota's Harmon Killebrew. (13-2) in favor of the Reds. Killebrew is 0 for 3. Here's the pitch. Well, he's going to get off the snide because he hits one down the left field line. And Wally Post gets to it, gets it back in, but not before Killebrew slides in the second with a 2-out double. So it's not over yet. That's going to bring up Bob Allison. 2 outs, man on second. Allison's 0 for 3. Pitch from Purkey. Man, that's a strikeout to end this one. Strikeout number 4 for Bob Purkey. And that's it. So the Reds will go to 7-4. Twins 4-5, and they'll drop to the bottom of the hill. They'll have to wait a while to get another chance. So the Reds that win this one 13-2. Serious statement made here at Bloomington. All right, so for the Reds, 13 runs on Can you believe they did that with 7 hits? They committed no errors. Twins, 2 runs on 4 hits, 1 error. Winning pitcher Bob Purkey, he went the distance, and the loss goes to Camilo Pascual. And as I mentioned, the Reds go to 7-4, become the new Kings, and will take on the 61 Tigers. So it's going to be a World Series rematch in Game 50 of the Strat-O-Matic Baseball Oldtimer Kings King of the Hill tournament. All right, that's going to do it for this one. If you hung around with me, I appreciate it. I admire your patience, and I'll be back again in the near future with another video. And until then, take care.